Right, just in the hotel room, just finished kind of reading up about today's match and stuff and looking at some history of both AFC Wimbledon and Cheltenham Town. Neither team in great form. One win in the past 5 games for both teams. But hey, I've got my AFC Wimbledon shirt on. I mean, how cool is that, by the way? Firstly, it looks like a Boca Juniors shirt. Secondly, it says Football Manager on the front of it. How good is that? So, I'm going to head out. My heart tonight. I'm only backing an AFC Wimbledon home win. Let's get out, let's get on the tube and get across London and get to the game. Now, Wimbledon are in 4th on 60 points and Cheltenham are in 14th on 46 points. So considering we watched a League 2 playoff battle between Salford and Crewe last weekend, I think this is going to be interesting to see how this compares and see how AFC Wimbledon match up to those two teams who they could face in the playoffs. Come on, let's keep going. Well, just arrived at Tooting London Underground station. Took about an hour. I think that's the longest I've ever spent on the tube, but we're here now anyway. And whilst I was on the Underground, I used the opportunity just to have a look at the AFC Wimbledon squad and the managerial names and the staff and stuff like that. So managed by Johnny Jackson at the moment. I seem to remember originally, I think he started at Spurs, but I remember him at Charlton as well. And he's assisted by none other than Yeovil legend Terry Skiverton. I remember him being a really good centre-back for Yeovil in the conference and coming up against North, which they had a really good team. I think he had a couple of spells as manager as well. Not quite so successful. And another name I recognised was goalkeeper coach Ashley Bayes from Exeter days. I remember him playing in the conference for Exeter. So a few names we recognise there on the Wimbledon staff. In terms of Wimbledon players, a couple of names that jumped out at me. Last weekend, or on Saturday, we watched Omar Bogle. We've now got Omar Bogle in the side here, so let's see how he gets on. Omar Bogle was a bit of a handful for Crewe on Saturday. Let's see how Omar Bogle does. And my favourite, my old AFC Wimbledon favourite, Joe Pigott, is back for his second spell at the club. I think he's on loan. He was fantastic in his first spell. They signed him out at non-league, did well, earned a move higher up to Ipswich, I think. He's back on loan now. Anyway, going to grab a cup of tea, get into the ground. Let's have a look around as well. And we'll get some stats and some facts on Cheltenham as well. Let's keep going. We are at Plough Lane, the home of AFC Wimbledon. Now, in 2002, the Wimbledon fans got together and decided to form a new football club, AFC Wimbledon, as protest for their original football club being uprooted and moved around 80 miles away to Milton Keynes, and renamed Milton Keynes Dons. I've always had an affiliation with AFC Wimbledon, not least because one of my mates that I worked with at the time supported them, but there was a lot of parallels between what happened with AFC Wimbledon and what happened with Northwich Victoria as well, in terms of losing grounds, unscrupulous owners, things like that. So they've always had my support. Let's get on, have a look around, see what else we can find. Now I think this is pretty cool here. You can just see the sign here, the remnants, I guess, greyhound racing at Wimbledon Stadium. It's pretty cool. Obviously the original Plough Lane did have a dog racing track around it as well. So I'm just sat here with one of the Wombles of Wimbledon, as you can see. I thought this was brilliant. It's right near a road, so the sound's probably going to be crap, but I just had to take something here. One of the interesting facts, a little bit strange, to say the least, that I've always thought was unusual and definitely unique about AFC Wimbledon, was that Glenn Mulcair, a name you may recognise from maybe as long as 20 years or so ago now, He was Wimbledon's first ever goal scorer. He scored their first ever goal. And he later got mixed up in something that perhaps was a bit unwise, shall we say. So he was then wrapped up in hacking phones for the News of the World. And that all broke in kind of 2007. How on earth he became a private investigator and started hacking celebrity phones from being a well thought of goal scorer at AFC Wimbledon, I've got no idea. But it's certainly a story I've never heard before. Have you heard that one before, mate? Nah, neither's he. Let's have a look around the other side of the stadium. I guess that's got to be Dave Besson, maybe, with the FA Cup there. The mate will come shortly. I don't know who it is on the other side. It did get political, and I must admit I didn't research the finite details of it. MK Dons did agree to give the history of winning the FA Cup and all the other associated history back to AFC Wimbledon, basically in return for AFC Wimbledon fans and the club stopping, I guess, kind of bad-mouthing them in the press and on social media and stuff like that. That must be Dave Besson. I'll ask my mate when he comes. How good is this, by the way? I'm blown away by how great the setup is here at Wimbledon, and in terms of them embracing their history. Obviously this is the 88 FA Cup winning team. You've got Bobby Gould there as manager, Laurie Sanchez, Dave Besson, don't know who that is on the right. Don't know who number 10 was. Laurie Sanchez, maybe? I guess that. Is that Alan Cork with him there? And Dennis Wise. Obviously, we all know who that is. And the Vinnie Jones. And so that's a bit outside of my knowledge, I think, there. Must have been an earlier team. Let's have a look round here as well, see who we've got. That's Lyle Taylor, I think. By the way, Saker, if I'm getting all of these wrong, and absolutely lambast me on WhatsApp.
You're right at the far end.
The other team there. That number 2, Barry Fuller, was one of my favourite players every time I used to come and watch them play. I can't remember this name.
Early, is it? Yeah.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, that's the way. So, that's.
That is.
All right.
Yeah. That's Danny Kedwell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Looks
Yeah.
like a Wayne Rooney, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're right. Obviously, that's I say obviously, it's not obvious, but that is Aaron Ramsdale.
Yeah, let's put it this way, out the pub.
Who people probably didn't know
Out the pub and there's pizzas.
played for Wimbledon on loan.
Yeah.
This is absolutely brilliant, by the way. There's a little Wimbledon museum here. Have a look at Wimbledon through the years, the different carnations, all the incarnations, all the different history, the different players, the different managers.
It was all very quiet, and then
Brilliant. Some genuine legends of the game. Not just legends of the club, legends of the game. There's my man Piggott there as well. This is wonderful, this is a great setup.
Right, well, I'm going to nip across the road now, so I need to get a coffee. Yeah. Right, thank you. Okay, I'll be back here in about 5 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, if you want to sign our visitors book, you're more than welcome. Please do.
Where are you sitting? It's down in the 105 or 106. I can't remember.
Near the middle. Yeah.
I was thinking we get a better seats. You know the layout of the stadium. Never been here, so.
Especially it's only a minute earlier.
Yeah, they knew.
Oh yeah. Especially it's only a minute earlier. Yeah, the ball is on the other end. It's sort of like they only needed something to tap it in. But no. That was
We were nearly sitting there.
Yeah.
We had 2 seats there, but then for some, a few others wanted to come. So we moved seats and
Yeah,
we
we
used
were in the
something
dining.
to a guy from work who wanted to come. So we would have been.
Well, even though we are enjoying the AFC Wimbledon content, which has been fantastic by the way, I really have enjoyed looking around what they've got here and the way that they've embraced their history. There is another team in play tonight that we need to consider, Cheltenham Town. Now, it's a funny one because I remember them being in the conference and I remember going to Wadden Road, but I don't remember the game. They must have played Northwich at some stage. I don't remember either game, and I didn't go as far as to look it up. Now, Cheltenham play in red and white stripes, which I was never going to take to. I'd never support that or get involved in that. And actually, when I looked into their stay in the conference, they were actually only there one season. They came down and went straight back up. So no wonder it's not really a team that's stick in my mind. However, the strange thing, and the one thing that does jump out in my mind, is legendary Cheltenham player Michael Duff. Again, if you're of a certain vintage, if you liked Football Manager, or Championship Manager as it was then, you'll remember Michael Duff. He was one of those players that you could sign from Cheltenham for about 35 grand or something like that. Play left back. I think it was either side full-back he could play, and you could sign him for Real Madrid and he was an absolute world beater. You'd win the Champions League, you'd get 8.6 in the Champions League final. An amazing player, really. And to be fair, he went on to have a good Football League career and he's managing somewhere now. I think, is he managing? No, he was managing Burnley, I think. I think he's managing Championship, like the top end of League One level. So he's done quite well for himself, to be fair. So there we go, a little bit about Cheltenham. With games, I guess, about to start, let's have a look at the teams. I'll fire up Instagram. If you're not following us on Instagram already, take a look at the 6 Degrees of Football Instagram page, as well as pressing the subscribe and like button here on YouTube. And that's where we share all the details about what we're doing, where we've been. And we actually post some photos on there that are outside of kind of the videos that we take. So if there's extra content there that you want to have a look at, get yourself over to Instagram. So we were talking about Terry Skiverton before, weren't we? He's actually assistant manager at Wimbledon, but we remember him from kind of his long spells at Yeovil. When he was managing Yeovil, he was kind of supported by Gary Johnson, who's a bit of a legend in southwest football. He's been around a few clubs in that territory, and he's actually director of football at Cheltenham, and he's supporting Michael Flynn. Can't quite remember Michael Flynn as a player. I recognise the name but don't know him where from. I think it was Wrexham, and I remember him managing Newport County. But yeah, Michael Flynn, Gary Johnson, they're the kind of management team for today for Cheltenham. Let's continue having a bit of a look around, see what we find. It's nearly time to check the teams. So 2 players that I noticed within the Cheltenham playing squad kind of stuck out to me. One was Harry Pell. He's a former AFC Wimbledon player and he's flagged as Cheltenham captain. So it'll be interesting to see what type of reception he gets as well. They've also got a player called Lewis Kinsella. His name's actually Lewis Mark Kinsella. And I checked on Wikipedia, the source of the truth. Yeah, it's the son of Mark Kinsella, who was a good central midfielder, Irish international. Be interesting to see how he does as well. To be honest, those were the only names from Cheltenham that stood out to me. Anyway, mate will be due soon. We'll get the tickets and get in the ground. Okay, teams are out. So my man Omar Boogle starts up front, number 9, and Joe Pigott is on the bench. Let's have a look we'll scroll across to the Cheltenham team, and my man Kinsella starts.
Running.
Yeah, that's smart.
Repainted, I think.
Put it in the box.
Throw it in the box! Keep going! Well aggravating. Go to the club shop, but we're heading this way.
Oof, okay, bit of a journey that, but now back in the room. Disappointing night for AFC Wimbledon, I think it's fair to say. So it ended AFC Wimbledon 1, Cheltenham 2. Tough game, I think, really. AFC Wimbledon kind of huffed and puffed a little bit. I think they'll be disappointed to concede the opening goal from a corner. I've captured it on video as well. A soft kind of glancing header that went in at the back post. Cheltenham took the lead through that. AFC Wimbledon then equalised from a corner. It was nodded back across and a guy got in front of his marker and kind of headed it past the keeper before he had a chance to react. 1-1 half time. I would say AFC Wimbledon were the better team throughout the game, but they huffed and puffed. Like I said, they didn't really make the keeper make a lot of saves. Again, they kept playing well through the second half. The winger, Nerfville, was terrorising the Cheltenham left back. He played very well indeed. And a big lad at the back who they've signed from Stockport, apparently one of the Wimbledon fans put his hand in his pocket and actually signed this lad, Joe Lewis, just come to me then, from Stockport. He played very well as well. But again, huffed and puffed. Nerfville drove a shot that kind of went through the keeper's legs and he just got enough on it with his heel to divert it wide, sadly. Wimbledon keep pushing forwards and got caught on the break. Nice finish from the kind of right-sided midfielder from Cheltenham. Took it, drove it low across the goalkeeper. Final score, AFC Wimbledon 1, Cheltenham 2. And Wimbledon will be disappointed with that as they are pushing for the playoffs, obviously. I think in terms of the three teams I've seen in and around that League 2 playoff space, I'm going to say it, I think it might be a bit controversial. I think Crewe are the best that I've seen so far. They are a good organised unit. And I think they could trouble... I'm going to make a prediction. I think they'll make it to the playoff final in League 2. So, we'll see. As for AFC Wimbledon, well, they've got some games to go. They need to string some wins together. Let's hope they can do that and make it into the playoffs. Now, I want to touch on AFC Wimbledon's setup. Their ground is fantastic and the atmosphere and the feeling of community there, I think, is really, really great, and I thought it was really, really positive. They've really embraced their history, where they've come from. There's loads of stuff you'll see in the video, or will have seen, of course, around kind of the Cup win in '88, their journey through the leagues, their old grounds, the battles that they've had, the issue with Milton Keynes, even moving to Dublin was kind of thought about at one stage, which I'd completely forgotten about. They've been through some crazy times, and I think what dawned on me was Wimbledon have actually done this journey twice now. So the actual Wimbledon FC climbed up right the way through the league tiers, right the way up to the Premier League, starting at like local, regional, southern leagues, going right up to the Premier League. AFC Wimbledon have basically done the same. Okay, I think they got as high as League One at one stage. But both of these clubs have been on this journey and have been really successful at it. It's crazy to think, really. But hey, they are the crazy gang. In terms of match, I'm not sure it'll be the highlight of the year. In terms of setup, AFC Wimbledon could be my club of the year. They're certainly a contender and the best place I've been so far. Anyway, that's it for tonight. That's it from me. Got to get some sleep, get some work done in the morning. But it's not over yet. You know it isn't. Saturday, we go to Charlton. And we're watching them against Wigan Athletic at the Valley. I'll see you then.